G'day, it's Heath here from pickinglessons.com. The trip to Sligo, it's such a beautiful melody, haunting but beautiful. In a moment we're going to take a look at part A of the arrangement we just heard there. But if you head to pickinglessons.com, you've got to jump in there, get a copy of the tablature, and we'll have a look at part B of the lesson as well, and you have a play along and backing track there for the tune. So pickinglessons.com. Let's start out with a slow playthrough of part A, then we'll break it down, have a look at some exercises, look at the tuning, capo position, the time signature. 1 and 2 and Okay, so there's part A. Now we have to repeat that twice, so it's an A-A-B-B tune. We're in the key of G sharp minor. We're capoed up at fret 4. So G sharp minor, we're playing in E minor position shapes. We're in the key of E minor. If we weren't using a capo, it would be in E minor. But capoed up here at fret 4, we have our 5th string spiked at fret 9. So going up from the peg there, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's up to a B note. Now the tunings are standard though. Once we're here capoed where we are, we're in 6/8 time. So it's a jig. 6/8 time has 6/8 notes to the measure with 2 pulses. So 1 and a 2 and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's the feel we're dealing with, which will give us some tricky passages for the right hand. Left hand's not too tricky. With this one, you really only need to use the first few fingers. I was using my first 2 fingers, you may have noticed. I've got a bit of a cut on my 3rd finger. It's almost healed, but I'm just avoiding it at the moment. You really don't need to worry too much about your left hand, although it's all in the tablature. Now, if we have a look at a few exercises here to get us going, the way we need to group our notes together, some of those are a little challenging. So let's break it down measure by measure, and we'll just have a look at what we might need for our right hand. Now, firstly, the opening melody here is just over an E minor chord, E minor shape. But interesting because we're starting on string 4, then jump to string 1, 2, 3, then 4. So we can't really do it with, say, a standard backward roll. It's going to get awkward. Either you end up playing your thumb a couple of times, or something weird will happen. So the way that we're going to approach it, the way I'm approaching it, is starting with the thumb to the middle finger. So there's our first half of the measure. 1 and quarter note, 8th note. 1 and 2 and Now, second half of the measure, thumb, index finger, thumb. So we get this crossover between thumb and index across the 3 strings, giving us thumb, middle, thumb, index, thumb, thumb to the next measure. We still had to double up there, unavoidable really. We could go the index finger, but that's actually pretty awkward. Thumb, thumb there, the tempo's not too fast, so it's not too hard. We don't really want to be using thumb for all of it though, so that crossing over in that measure works. So one more time, measure 1, E minor shape, thumb, middle, thumb, index, thumb, thumb to the open D. 1 and 2 and one more time. 1 and 2 and So just getting that right hand moving there, getting used to what pattern we need to play. You could try and play around with some different fingering options. That I think was the most efficient that I come up with. It certainly suits me and it works really well. Next measure, we need to change our approach. Our next measure, we're playing basically a backward roll here, a bit of a D chord melody. And so here we've got our thumb to the middle finger, index on the way back to the thumb with a pull off. So the fingering there, not too hard, just watch that pull off. And the rhythm, 1 and 2 and thumb, middle, index, thumb with a pull off to the open string. First 2 measures, 2 and Nice exercise to wrap yourself around and get used to. 3rd measure is the same as the first, you may have already noticed. Moving on to measure 4, we have this variation. And pretty much for the rest of the melody, what you'll find is that the thumb and your finger will continue to cross over. So it could be thumb and index or thumb and middle, depending on which string. You could just use one combination, that would be fine. But pretty much we can go to a finger, then a thumb, then a finger, then a thumb for the remainder of the melody here in part A. So for the 4th measure, 1 and 2 and string with a flick, 5th fret, 4th fret. Melodic position here. that we're going to find that we're using quite a bit. So it's like a G melodic scale, which we're using for the relative minor, E minor, but capoed. So again, fourth measure, index finger, thumb with a pull off, then thumb to the middle finger. Just watch that rhythm. 1 and 2 and but crossing over between finger, thumb, then thumb, finger. We've got a space in between with the pull off. Moving on, measure 5 though, measure 5, we're into this melodic position of the scale. First note there in measure 6. So here, melodic position, I'm sure you know this scale. If you've been playing some melodic tunes already. Now, our scale position, finger position here is first and second fingers, and shifting across the first finger and third, or I'm using my second at the moment, but third would be ideal. Now, as we run through there, again, just finger, thumb, starting with the thumb. Measure 5. Okay, remember, watch those fingers. Rhythm's really easy there. 2 groups of eighth notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great example of what the 6/8 time signature is how it's constructed. Measure 6, we're switching back to that 7th fret. Thumb, finger, thumb to the open string, first half of the measure. Then we're going to shift down into this open position again, hammering on to that 4th fret. It's more of a tap. We're tapping onto that 4th fret on string 4. It's really effective. It means our right hand gets a break, and then our thumb can come in on the flick. So measure 6 with that tap, left hand tap. Measure 5 and 6. Ready and The tap in the left hand works great because it gives our thumb a break when we're moving along. If we played that note with our thumb again, you'd find you have thumb, 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 3 in a row, making it slightly awkward. The tap works really well. You could pick it with your thumb or your index finger if you wanted to, if the tap's not working, but the tap works really nicely. Just get that pressure in there on that 4th fret. And you'll find as you start moving along through the tune, the resonance already that you have from those strings and those notes will help contribute to the volume of that tap. Finishing off the final 2 measures here, sort of before we hit the repeat to go back and do it again. We have this slide. Moving up the neck and then back down to the E to finish. So we're starting on that E, first finger slide, open G. So thumb, slide, open G with a finger. 7th fret there, the 7th fret up on string 4 with our thumb, finger, thumb to that 5th fret. One more time. Then we kind of reverse here, so 2nd string open, finger, thumb on the G, open G, hammer onto that 4th fret again, then a thumb to conclude that melody there on fret 2, that the root note there. So measures 7 and 8, 2 and So there's the first half of this tune, remembering that we do need to repeat that. Now, a couple of measures to watch. So first measure, second measure, those 2 are kind of on their own for the right hand. The remainder of the measures, 4 through to the end there, measure 8, it's really crossing over between thumb and finger, or finger, thumb. You're just crossing between the 2. Watch the time signature, so feel that pulse. So feeling that 6/8 pulse, which is 2 dotted quarter notes. You have 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and for feeling that pulse in your playing is ideal. And then in the second half, we're a bit busier. So the second half, playing all 8th notes. So ideally, you're going to have this one to memory. Read it as you're learning it, but get yourself off the page as you go. Okay, so there's part 8. Now, if you head over to pickinglessons.com, you will be able to get yourself the next lesson, which is for part B, and the tablatures there as well, and the play along and backing tracks there at the same time. So pickinglessons.com, see you there.